Do you want to save money by using the metro in Mexico City, but you're terrified that you're going to get kidnapped by the cartels? Stop wasting your money on Uber. And let me tell you a secret. El Chapo doesn't use the metro. You can get around Mexico City quickly, easily, and cheaply for about 30 cents a trip. Today, I'm going to share the cheapest, safest way to get around Mexico City. I'm going to share 8 key tips for you to use the Mexico City Metro safely. Why should you stick around to the end? I'm going to share one crucial bonus tip that no YouTubers are talking about for your safety in Mexico City. And it includes a very real experience where my life was very much in danger. Did I die? Did I survive? Stick around to the end to find out. Hey, it's Sarah. I lived in Mexico for 10 years, and I'm your guide to authentic travel and experience in Mexico. Make sure you grab my free cheat sheet for authentic travel in Mexico City in the description below. My first tip to using the Metro in Mexico City is getting yourself a Metro card. Now, you don't have to use one of these for the Metro. There are paper tickets available, but they're kind of a pain, and this card is actually useful for other types of transportation. Maybe like the Metro bus, which maybe will be a future video that we'll talk about here on the channel. So I strongly recommend that you just go ahead and buy yourself one of these. It costs 10 pesos. It's 50 cents or so, depending on the exchange rate when you're watching this. It's absolutely worth your time. So there's 2 different ways that you can buy one of these cards. One of them is actually at a kiosk, like a little machine, which is nice because then you can take away that factor of having to speak to a human being in Spanish. But these machine kiosks are not available at every station. They're actually available at very few stations. I'm going to walk you through how to use that in the prompts in Spanish that you'll actually need to push when you use one of those machines in the next clip.
Here's the machine where you can either buy or recharge a Metro card. You can see your first options, compra is buy, recarga is recharge. So I have a card already, so I'm going to go ahead and do a recharge. You put it here where it says inserte tarjeta, insert card, before you push any buttons. So put in your card, wait. You see it says saldo inicial, that's your starting credit. And then you've got your money, so now you can go down to your little money. Please remember this machine does not give change, so whatever you put in is what you're loading your card with. I put in the money, I'm waiting, and on the machine it tells you your starting balance, your amount you put in, and your pendiente saldo, the pending, and then you have to push confirmar, confirm. It says do not remove your card. Wait till it says saldo final. That's when it says the ending balance, and then take your card out.
But what if you actually have to go up to la taquilla, the ticket booth, and speak to a human in Spanish? I know. Don't worry, I got you. I'm going to walk you through exactly what you need to say to get one of these, okay? You could say, for example, me da una tarjeta con recarga de 50 pesos, por favor. Me da una tarjeta con recarga de 50 pesos, por favor. This will cost 60 pesos in total because you're buying the card, and you're getting 50 pesos of a recharge. That'll get you like 10 trips on the Metro. So that's great. Now, what about if they don't have this little card available? Because that does happen sometimes. You may go up to la taquilla and see that it says in the window, solo boletos, or no hay recargas. That happens, unfortunately, sometimes. Whenever that happens, all you have to do is say, okay, me da 4 boletos, por favor. That's going to cost you like 20 pesos, which is like $1. It's super cheap. Why are you getting 4 tickets? Not because you need 4 for one ride, but because you don't want to be waiting in these huge, horribly long lines during rush hour to get your tickets. So trust me, get 4 tickets. Are you getting a little bit overwhelmed with all the Espanol in today's video? I got you. In the description below, you're going to find that Explore Mexico City Authentically cheat sheet. You can download that, and everything that I'm saying in Spanish is written for you already. You're welcome. My second golden nugget for navigating the Metro in Mexico City is put your backpack in front. Now, the point everyone probably really wants to know here is the Metro in Mexico City a horrific wasteland of kidnappers and thugs? And the answer is no. But is it absolutely chock full of pickpocketers? Yes, it is. And that's why we want to put our backpack in the front. Now guys, I've lived in Mexico for 10 years and I have never been pickpocketed, but that's because there's nothing ever in my pockets to pick. So please, put your backpack in the front, no questions asked. You're even going to hear policemen screaming this as you're entering the metro, assuming you understand what they're saying. What have you heard about safety and crime in Mexico? Pop us a comment down below. My third tip for the solo ladies traveling in Mexico City, high five, is that there are special metro cars designed just for you. If you're a lady traveling by yourself in Mexico City, you should get on the platform of the metro and go all the way to the front. There will be a special section barricaded or marked off for you labeled Mujeres or Mujeres y Niños, and that means it's just for women. These cars are great because you even are more likely to get a seat. And the policemen are very strict with this. If there any men try to wiggle their way in there, they absolutely will yell at them to leave. Pro tip, sometimes this section is all the way at the back of the platform. It's usually at the front, but with some stations it's at the back. So if you don't see it at the front, head your way all the way to the back to find that. Also, in the next video, we're going to learn about the Metro bus. There's a section just for women on the Metro bus too, and these have pink seats, so you can look forward to that video coming soon. Have you guys grabbed my Explore Mexico City cheat sheet yet? Seriously, it's legit. I'm a Spanish teacher, so it's good stuff. Grab it down below. My next tip for you for using the Metro in Mexico City is, when in doubt, use the map and ask a policeman. Okay, so let's start off with the Metro map. By the way, I've included a map for you in the guide that I keep mentioning down in the description, and in that guide I've also included a big old circle for you in the areas that you should stick to as a tourist. So, the map is super duper helpful, guys. If for some reason maybe you've printed my guide but you left it in your hotel room, there's always a humongous Metro map in every single station. You can't miss it. It's usually near the taquilla or it's near the turnstiles. Just look for it if you can't find it. It's pretty intuitive, and what's great about the Metro in Mexico City is all you have to really do is learn the two end stations, the terminal stations, and you'll be able to figure out how to use the Metro. Another great thing about the Metro in Mexico City is that the trains that arrive at the platform are only ever going to go one direction. They're not going to go some other directions. All you have to do is look up above your head, like in this picture, and you'll be able to see the actual sign that says what direction the train is going that you're about to get on. So make sure you're always looking up in the Metro stations. That way you can see where you're going. Another pro tip is if you see this word, correspondencia, that means that this is a transfer station. So if you're trying to get off of one train onto another, follow the signs that say correspondencia to get to the other Metro line. Another great thing about the Metro in Mexico City is you don't even need to know how to read. Seriously. The Metro station names also have an icon assigned to that Metro station that you're going to see on all the maps, on all the stations. Sometimes you're only going to see the icon instead of the name. And so even if all you do is look at the pictures, you can figure it out. Pro tip, when you actually go inside the train, you're going to see a picture of all of the different stations with the, they're going to have the icons in a row, and they're also going to have the names of the stations, and also they have different colors. That means those are the transfer stations if you need to transfer to a new line. Please don't worry, for example, if you are on a train and you feel like the next stop based on what you saw on the map should be Metro Station C, but oops, it's Metro Station A. Don't worry about it. It just means this train has come, they took the train from the other side of the tracks and put it on your side of the tracks. So sometimes the actual like station map in the actual train car will be backwards. But don't worry, it doesn't mean you're going the wrong way. Did you guys know there's actually a really helpful website from the Mexican government all about traveling in Mexico City? I'm going to put it down in the description box for you, but check it out, and you can even put it in English. It is super helpful. Now, how about if you want to ask a policeman in a station for directions? The policemen are there for security, of course, but they're also really knowledgeable about how to get places and where stuff is even within the station. Some of the stations are huge, so it's helpful to sometimes ask, and even sometimes I still find myself asking where things are. Let me show you a few key phrases because you're going to need to speak Spanish to ask most of the policemen where stuff is. Here is a very natural way that you can ask for something. You can say, disculpe, la salida. Disculpe, el baño. Disculpe, la taquilla. There are some examples. All of those phrases are written in the guide that I have for you below. Do you need a little extra Spanish support before your trip? I got you. I do that. You can hit me up on Instagram, my email address, or my WhatsApp at this number to talk about conversational Spanish practice on your schedule. My next tip for you to use the metro in Mexico City is, please, for the love of your vacation, avoid the metro if it's raining. This might sound silly, but trust me, you do not want to be on the metro if it's raining. You see, the metro wheels and the tracks are designed in such a way that it actually makes it more difficult to brake if they get wet. I don't know who came up with this idea, but I'm not an engineer. All I do is speak the facts, okay? So, what happens? The metro ends up going a lot more slowly. That way they don't have to brake as hard. And that means they're not getting to the stations as quickly. Which means the platforms are getting extremely ridiculously unholy full of people. Like so. One time I was stuck in a car so tightly that I was not able to exit without the women on the platform outside physically grabbing my arm and yanking me out of the metro. Trust me, you don't want to be on the metro when it's raining. Would you like to hear about some of my weirdest experiences on the metro in Mexico City? Make sure you watch the next video up in the cards after this one to hear about that. Okay, so next, if you want to use the metro in Mexico City, please avoid it at certain times of day. The metro is amazing for tourism because you can avoid the traffic and hop from station to station fairly easily. But if you are trying to use it during rush hour, forget about it. It's going to be an absolutely miserable experience. Now, caveat, if you only need to go a station or two, it's probably not that big a deal. You can probably deal with it, especially if you're a lady traveling solo. But if you're trying to go before 9 o'clock in the morning on the metro on a weekday, or after 4 p.m. on the metro on a weekday, or anytime on a Saturday, you're going to expect a very, very different experience. It's going to be really, really full and tight. And honestly, I don't recommend this for tours, especially those evening hours, because it can get pretty intense. What is your worst metro experience? Comment below. I would love to hear it. My seventh tip, I think it's seventh. Anyway, my seventh tip for using the metro in Mexico City is please anticipate your stop a few stops early. Once that train stops, for most stations, you're going to have about 5 seconds to get out of that train before the stampede forces you back in. Now, if you paid attention to the last couple of tips that I gave you, the stampede is not going to be an issue for you. However, you don't want to deal with the stampede. If you end up getting stuck in those metro doors, it usually takes 2 men to pry them open, and it kind of hurts. So please just stand up a couple stops early, hold onto the tube, you will be fine. That way you can smoothly slide out of those metro doors when they open. Are these tips helpful for you? Give me a thumbs up. My final tip for you to use the Mexico City Metro is to make friends with other passengers. I know, you're probably thinking, I don't speak Spanish. Okay, a lot of people in Mexico City actually speak English. It's a pretty metropolitan city. And why would you want to make friends with the passengers? The Mexicans are very friendly, so it's like a culturally enriching experience. But also, they can help you in a time of need. And now we're going to cue the dramatic story when the passengers saved my rear end on the metro in Mexico City. If you want to learn how to converse with the locals in Spanish, grab that thing I keep talking about in the description. My bonus tip for you, one of the most important things for you to stay safe on the metro in Mexico City is drink water. Do not leave yet. Please hear me out, okay? Seriously. My life was at risk once because I didn't drink enough water. I once fainted on the metro because I was dehydrated. I was stranded. I was alone. Well, okay, I wasn't stranded, but I was alone. Mexico City is a very dry climate, and it can get pretty hot, especially on those trains because there's no air conditioning. You usually don't need AC in Mexico City because it's so dry, but don't underestimate your H2O needs in a dry climate, especially in that high altitude. I found this out the hard way as a good Samaritan was scraping me off the disgusting metro floor because I passed out from dehydration. I didn't want to have to find a bathroom. Stupid. So I didn't drink enough water that day. Thankfully, the people that were around me were genuinely nice and they helped me rather than steal my backpack and all my belongings. But I could have spared myself all of the headache and trouble if I had just had some water. and had drunk it. Also, we were at a terminal station, so the helpful Good Samaritan took me to a little office where there were actually paramedics, I guess, on hand that checked my blood pressure and everything, got me some water. But just do yourself a favor, have some water and have some pocket change to go to the restroom. Did you notice how I said about the disgusting metro floor? I said it was quick, cheap, and safe. I did not say it was clean. Have you ever fainted from dehydration? Yikes. Comment below and tell us what it was like. At this point, you understand how to get your Metro card, times to avoid the Metro, how to ask for directions if you're lost, and a couple of safety tips to use the Metro in Mexico City. Be sure to hit me up on Instagram or email if you need any help with Spanish. Make sure you subscribe to get notified for the next video, and if this was helpful for you, give me a thumbs up. Nos vemos!